Hello, everyone. We are here for a journey through photography. I am Marc Skinner. I'm here with my good friends Kenneth Nelson and Greg Leghorn.
Hey, how come you never
We
say
have.
mine second? I'm always the
I'm
last.
sorry. You're always the last. Oh, I'm sorry.
But I'm not
You want to do
offended.
it again? Hello, everyone. I am
Oh,
Marc Skinner. And I'm here with my good friends Greg Cleghorn and Kenneth Nelson. Or I can say, hello, everyone. This guy over here is Greg Cleghorn. The other one is Kenneth Nelson. And I'm Marc Skinner. If you prefer that, that'd be great. So we are a journey through photography. Between the three of us, we've got about 100 years, if not more, of photographic experience. And as my good friend Ken likes to say, we have experience in photography in a variety of genres, with a variety of formats, in a variety of situations and circumstances.
I think
In
it's
any event,
1,000 years, at
a
least.
1,000 years. It's the 1,000 year job, is what we have. So, in any event, this time we are going to talk about gear and only one aspect of gear. Each of us have specific types of photography that we like to do. Kenneth is a street photographer. I tend to favor studio work, and Greg is much more of a street photographer that prefers whimsy. And finding whimsy and capturing that. And so we all have ways that we like to work. And I had challenged the guys to tell me if you had one opportunity to buy the last camera that you could ever buy, what camera would it be as of this day? I'm going to say in June of 2023, only because we say something else, say it's not a particular date, then our information will sound dated. So the first person to tell us what camera they would buy if they had to buy a camera today, money was not an object, and they were going to buy one last camera for the rest of their life based on what's available today and not future, will be Kenneth. Kenneth, what camera will you buy?
Mark, I cheated because it's not one.
Oh
And
my.
you'll see in the explanation as I share it with you, okay? The first one would be this camera, which as other people and other reviews have stated, the last camera you'd ever need to buy. This is the Leica M11, which was recently introduced by Leica. I am a Leica owner, have been since 2015. And when I purchased that camera in 2015, then I traded that one in and I brought another one in 2017. I realized that that camera that I brought in 2017 was going to be the last camera I would ever own. Things happened, and so I had to sell that off. But once I get back into it, this is what will be the last camera I will ever own. Will be this, not necessarily with this lens, maybe, but not. The Leica M11 is a digital camera. It's a digital rangefinder, meaning that the camera, the picture is taken through one lens and you're viewing it through another. And it is the reason why I picked this camera as the one is because it is small, it's compact, and it packs a good punch in terms of image quality. And of course, everyone knows that it has a nostalgic look which appeals to quite a few people who use it. But also, it is an amazingly well-built German-made camera. So that is the reason why I would own this one and keep questions till later, because I wanted to sort of really give you the flavor of why I chose two. And here's another version of the Leica M11, as seen by I guess yeah, as B&H would sell it. But the other reason why is here's the other camera I would own, and this is a 4x5 film camera, and that's the difference because we grew up using film, so therefore I don't have any intentions of divesting myself from the history or the processing of film. As far as I can tell, I will, as far as I feel and know, I will always use film as long as film is available. Although I may not use it for an extended period of time, I can see using film and photographing with film for the rest of my life. Okay, and being that that is the case, and of course, when I was starting out, of course, we always shot 35 millimeter, and there were reasons why I don't like 35 millimeter, so I bumped up to medium format, and it has its appeal as well. But all in all, image quality, slowing down the photographic process, I would use a large format 4x5 field camera as my film camera, where I would use the Leica M11 as my digital. So that's my answer to the question and why.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that. All right. What about you, Greg? Oh, wait. Now, in terms of the type of work that you're doing, that's really the real issue, right? What would you be photographing that would require you to have either of those cameras?
Well, as you said, you described me as a street photographer, but I more describe myself as a generalist. And I didn't say journalist, I said generalist, meaning that I don't prescribe to just one genre of photography.
Right.
I encompass them all. And so if you were to say, take a look at my Instagram page, you'll notice that it's just not street. It's abstract. It's architecture. It runs the gamut. So it's whatever I see. So I term myself as a generalist. So therefore, the type of equipment I would need to encompass the visions that I have for all types of photography that I would engage in. It's including landscape, which
Right.
would be the reason for the large format. But also, I would not negate the use of that large format in street photography because I would use it, and other people have used it successfully.
Okay.
Joel Meyerowitz used the large format camera in some of his imagery. So,
Well, that's the Cape Light series is
pardon?
real. The Cape Light series is view
Yeah,
camera.
yeah, yeah. So that's my rationale.
Okay. All right. All right. Greg, do you have any questions for Ken?
Why the M11 as opposed to any of the other range of great cameras that Leica has? What makes the M11 different?
It's a digital camera. It's the latest one. I mean, the fact is, I can easily do with the M10. It doesn't matter. But since it would be the later camera with higher megapixel count, and it has the three different variations on a file size, so you can actually shoot. I think it's 18 megapixels, 36 megapixels, or 60. So that gives you many different options in terms of file size, but also to some degree image quality and resolution, which would be the main thing. So maximum resolution 60 megapixels, 36 megapixels is still great resolution. Even 18 megapixels has great resolution depending on your output size. So but I like those options where you don't really have that in the M10. You don't you don't have it in the M10. It was only introduced in the M11.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Now, Greg, what about yourself? What is your last camera and why?
Last camera. Even though it'd be kind of difficult to pick a last camera, I wouldn't say that I'm kind of a generalist like Ken would say, but I do like photojournalism, and that is done right by me for some years now. But I would like to, slow it down again. I mean, everything has been, frames per second. How fast can you do, astrophotography with, super high ISO values and such. But I'd like to really slow it down again, like similar reasons that Ken said. Just going back to the film roots and just being deliberate and paying a lot more attention to negative quality. Being able to get instead of digitally adjusting for contrast or your textures or your grayscale or your color balance, you know, just to be able to just do straight grayscale images with a nicely exposed negative and print it big and just enjoy the, here's one that you guys should like, just enjoy the purity of photography, you know, shoot it straight, expose it straight, develop it straight, and print it, you know, print it straight. Nice high quality gelatin silver, you know, still kind of spins my wheels, you know, because there's just, I can't say nothing like it, but it has a special place in my photographic heart. So that's probably where I would go. That, you know, having a nice high quality large format camera would be, you know, it demands attention to detail and slows you down, you know, makes you really be more deliberate in all the aspects of capturing images. It may not be as great for, you know, photojournalism and capturing things in the moment, but it would, I believe it would focus me on, you know, my favorite photographer, again, you know, Bresson or any number of other medium to large format photographers that, you know, from Ouija to Vanderzee to Abaddon, you know, just being able to capture, I would say, the moment, but an important moment. And the challenge of that is always appealing to me. And I think the large format would probably be a fun way to do it. Challenge myself. So if I was going to do that, yeah, I would definitely go for a large format. See how that turns out.
Okay. So basically, you want to revisit that whole process.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then I probably jump back into digital because it would drive me up the wall.
No, it's fair. It's fair. It's a very fair. What, you know, you want to get back to your roots, both of you, a little bit. Okay. Ken, you have any questions for Greg?
No, but I asked that. I may have one later.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right. Well, for me, one would think that as much as I have spoken about the wonderfulness of Leica cameras in this program, because of the one camera that I use, that I would say something like the Q3, which is a marvelous camera and has a leaf shutter, the range of the focal length reach isn't really sufficient for the type of work that I do or my taste. You know, 28 millimeter, I don't want to just keep cropping it until it's a telephoto, because most of what I do tends to be telephoto work, not necessarily zoom work, but telephoto, slight telephoto. So having said that, that eliminates that one. The Nikon, or I should say Nikon, because here in the States everyone says Nikon as opposed to Nikon. The Nikon Z8 seems to be the price to value ratio that'll get you through 90% of any assignments that you have and a good amount of whatever hobbyist work that you want. I mean, 20 frames per second, full res, 45, you know, at a raw, you know, that's pretty good, actually. You can't really beat that of speed. But I don't photograph sports too much anymore, and I don't photograph wildlife much anymore. I did photograph some wildlife last weekend with an older camera, and I felt very, very old in doing it because it just didn't have the ability. The camera I was using didn't have the ability to really capture the birds that quickly. For me, and this probably won't be a surprise to you guys, it would definitely be based on today's technology and today's offerings. It would be the Hasselblad X2D, and it would be because I have the X1D, and it is the best interface that I've ever used on a digital camera. It is the camera, the line that to me replicates the film process best. And rather than having a tremendous number of emulations and styles that a lot of other camera manufacturers offer, it basically has one thing, the Hasselblad color management system, which basically is we get the color right. We get it correct. And so correct color in the camera to me is closest to the idea of film. When we purchased film, if we were photographing indoors with regular lamps, we bought tungsten light. If or continuous light, tungsten film. If we were photographing, and then we put little bits of filter just to correct it, not so much to alter. Yes, they have color altering filters, but that was a different thing. We weren't trying to emulate a particular emulsion. You bought the emulsion that you wanted, and the goal was to get the most accurate color based on the subject matter. And so I think the Hasselblad color management system tends to bring that into the digital age best of the cameras that I've used. The second reason is, well, it's portable. It's not as bulky as a view camera, and the 100 megapixels from what I've seen offers just a tremendous amount of resolution, probably more than I will ever need. And based on the
Your tongue.
Yeah, well, based on the fact that it has the IBIS, so even at 2 seconds, it's relatively stable because it has the IBIS stabilization. Although if I'm photographing anything that requires a 2-second exposure, I will almost definitely have a tripod under the camera. And the range of lenses, so I can go from a wide angle lens to a telephoto lens. And I already mentioned the synchronization speed with the leaf shutter and the other camera. So it really affords me, to me, the closest to a film photographic experience in the digital realm from what I've seen. Now, hey, maybe if I'm really, really wealthy, I would get an Alpha technical camera, or maybe even the Phase 1. But for my purposes, even if money were no object, I think the value for me would be in the Hasselblad. That for me, and that's really it.
Okay. So, you mentioned some terminologies in there, and maybe a lot of people are not familiar with some of the terminologies, such as IBIS and a couple of other things. So if you can just go through the two things that I remember you said. One is IBIS, and just be short with it, just to what it stands for.
Well, honestly, I don't know the exact what the exact acronym stands for, but I do know it is the image stabilization system that almost all of the manufacturers are putting into their cameras. And basically, it means that when you photograph it, the sensor moves around so that when you're shaking the camera, you get a sharp image, even if there's camera shake.
Mm-hmm. So for those out there, IBIS is IB.
Backlit illumination system, something like that.
Yeah,
what is it?
IBIS is IBIS,
right?
And it's an acronym for In-Body Image Stabilization.
There you go, in-body image stabilization. So anyway, that I think is a really valuable asset to increase the sharpness of the image. And between that, the Hasselblad optics. I mean, I don't have any cameras with IBIS in it, so I didn't really. It's like, okay, but from what I've read, that's really good. And anything that's even sharper than what you get with the X1D, I'm a happy camper. What was the other term?
I don't remember. You mentioned it at the end of your presentation. I just don't remember.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Okay, Mark. No more questions.
And you know, quite honestly, I'm sure at some point they'll add things like the bellows system and all of that. I'm hoping they are. But based on what they have, it's just a really, the more I use that camera, the more I like it, and the less I like some of the other cameras that I've used. And it's a really weird thing. It's not as convenient as that wonderful little Leica. And I bet you guys thought I was going to say Leica S3, because the Leica S3 is a fantastic camera, but I haven't used it. And from what I understand, it's only 64 megapixels. And these days, and it's,
Yeah, just so you get an idea of what Mark's talking about, this is the camera that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Hasselblad X2D.
Yeah,
and on there it's a 90mm f2.5, which means that it's a 90mm lens.
Right, but you know what's really crazy about the X2D? If you watch reviews on that camera, there are people who do a lot of professional reviews, and it's like the camera that people love to hate. And I don't know why, because it's almost like they hate it because it doesn't have a zillion emulations, or it's not fast, or it's really weird. It's like, it doesn't seem like people who dislike it are, it's almost like they're not really interested in taking still photographs in a certain way. It's like they've come to expect 10 to 20 frames per second. They've come to expect a zillion emulations in the camera, and then they almost invariably say, well, I draw it into Lightroom, and Hasselblad has its own image editing program, which doesn't have the breadth of Lightroom, but it does what it needs to do for getting the image to your desktop.
Yeah, and I think what I'd like to actually start to say, I guess, is you make a good point about what other people say. And I think as an individual, we have to really think about what we as a buyer of a camera want versus what other people say about it. And we have to realize that when we're making a purchase or thinking about purchasing a camera, we can only go by what we want and not what other people say about it. So what other people say about it is their own perspective on it and their own yins and yangs about what irks them about it or what they like about it. And if you just get rid of that sort of noise and just deal with the basics, what are the technical aspects that you're looking for? And I think that's why technical aspects to cameras are sort of important, because if you just deal with what people are saying, they'll bring in their own thoughts and aspects and misgivings about it, which to some degree can be fine if you're experienced, but if you're not, you can be more confused by what someone says and not be focused on what your needs are, and therefore be put off by what may be the best option for you out there.
Right. So would you recommend like rent to own, take a camera, rent it, give it take it on a test drive, see what you like about it, and then bring it back and try a different camera until you find one that you do like and does what you want it to do?
Yeah, I would agree. I think people should do that. I mean, in our case, we probably tried a variety of cameras just over time, having to use them for different purposes. But one of the craziest things that I always hear when I hear the reviews of the Hasselblad, everybody, oh, it's great, it's well designed and it fits in hand, and then they go, I don't know why, but I really like the camera, and it's because the image quality is so fantastic. And then they kind of go, well, the image quality is really, and every now and then someone's like, well, it's the best I've ever seen. However, and you go, it's the best you've ever seen. What are you complaining about?
Yeah. I would think that anyone who's starting out, if you're, and again, the resurgence of film is out there. So if you think you want to begin shooting film, I say begin with a point and shoot, autofocus, auto everything camera. They tend to be the cheapest to get. So I would start out with that in anything. And even if you wind up graduating to something more sophisticated, you'll still have something you could probably put in your pocket and use, and and still have it while you're graduating. Because I think that's what we all do. We graduate from one component to another, and we just, as we gain knowledge, we gain the experience, and we gain the understanding that what is going to help us achieve our end result better. But you have to start somewhere.
Maybe not. Now
Well,
with
let me ask you. So you're talking about
AI, people can go from 0 to, Fast and Furious with the click of a mouse.
True. Well, what you're talking about, Ken, is now, are you talking about a fun saver camera? Or are you talking about like an Ektar? Or are you talking about a DSL kind of camera?
Well, I said I started, let's just deal with film itself, because that's what I said, the resurgence of film.
Right.
So with the resurgence of film, if you're interested in film, then I would suggest a point and shoot film camera, right? And again, if you're not interested, I mean, as we all allude to, everyone owns a digital camera for the most part if you have a camera phone. All right. So if you're starting off with a camera phone and you want to do better than with a camera phone, then the choices are a little bit different than if you were starting off with film. So that would be my thing. If you're
not sure that we shouldn't poo-poo camera phones. I mean,
nobody is, but I mean, certain camera phones have certain aspects to them which are not related to film cameras or even digital SLRs or even digital point and shoots.
Creativity knows no bounds. I mean, you could like I said it before, and I'll say it again. I've said it before. There's a joke in there. Never mind. But you could take amazing images with the freaking Instamatic. I know folks are like, Instamatic. Well, with the dime store camera, basically. Or you can have the latest greatest Hasselblad Deerdorf. Oh my God! Just hit me with the branch from the tree. Maybe I should shut up. But photography. One of the beautiful things about photography is that the only real limit is your imagination. It's just whatever camera you choose. Explore it. Look at different artists. Look at what people are doing on Instagram. There's a lot of shooters out there that are doing some amazing stuff. And some spend the big bucks, some use their iPhone, Galaxy, whatever, and they can do amazing things with that. So just explore your creativity. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, there are there are a lot of film cameras available online.
Without something that costs you, $8,000 is ridiculous.
No, it's not. I mean, listen. First of all, if you're a working professional, $8,000. Let's be honest about that. Because I've spent a lot of money on cameras before and made my money back. That's just how it is. Problem is that it's kind of pricey. That up front is a lot. It's a lot.
Now, you're talking about a working professional doing what? I mean, a working artist or a working, I don't want to say a hack, but somebody that does studio work, somebody that does photojournalism. I mean, there's certain things you do need some high-end equipment to get, Pro Sports or, a Macy's catalog or a Vogue catalog or whatever. You do need some.
Right. If you photograph auto races, the Z8 and the Z9, right? The Z8 and the Z9 Nikon cameras and Canon iterations, I don't know. They're really going to give you the type of form factor and functionality that you need to really get the most images shortest amount of time. Because you're watching machinery run. If you're photographing, was the Prius, you know, horse racing, that kind of thing, you're going to need that kind of equipment, the ability to capture moving images, moving subjects very quickly. If you're doing portrait work or landscape work or fine art that isn't necessarily about high-speed movement, you know, cameras like the view cameras that you guys mentioned and the Hasselblad camera, any medium format camera will do, and a good number of full frame cameras will do that too. You know, the big deal about the Leica cameras is that they're you know, the street cameras, they were conditioned very facile, right? You know, you didn't have to wait for a shutter or anything to move. You had your eye, you saw right through what it was, and you could quickly move with your hand. And they were compact and they were easy to repair. So if one broke, you could take it to the shop and someone would repair it and get it back to you. You could put it in rotation. You know, those were the appeal of and the optics were incredibly sharp. In fact, quick to use, easy to repair. That was the appeal, and why even the military would buy Leica cameras.
Okay, gentlemen, can we bring this to a close?
Why, yes, we can.
Reel it back in.
Now that we have 3 photographers and only one of them wants to talk about cameras at this point, I'm going to say we have been Greg Cleghorn, who was first in this.
No, I wasn't. Ken was first.
It's going to be. Oh wait, is that right? Okay, so Kenneth Nelson was first. Greg Cleghorn was second. I'm Marc Skinner, and this has been a journey through photography. Thank you very much for indulging our wish fulfillment episode. And next week we'll talk about something else. They probably won't let me talk about gear for at least another 3 months. All right. Have a good night.